Hi again. We're going to go ahead and get started with Chapter 7 today in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So, what has happened so far? Let's see here. Still trying to figure this out. Willy Wonka has hidden 5 golden tickets in his candy bars. 2 of those tickets have been found. Augustus Gloop, the fat boy who eats, found one, and Veruca Salt found the other, and her dad owns the peanut factory, and he ordered thousands of candy bars to be opened in his peanut factory. And on Charlie's birthday, he gets 1 chocolate bar, and tomorrow is his birthday. Actually, now we're going to start Chapter 7. Today is his birthday. Let's hope he finds a golden ticket. Let's go ahead and oops. Let's see here. Here we go. All right. Charlie's birthday. Happy birthday! Cried the 4 old grandparents as Charlie came into their room early the next morning. Charlie smiled nervously and sat down on the edge of the bed. He was holding his present, his only present, very carefully in his 2 hands. Wonka's Whipple Scrumptious Fudge Mallow Delight, it said on the wrapper. The 4 old people, 2 at either end of the bed, propped themselves up on their pillows and stared with anxious eyes at the candy bar in Charlie's hands. Mr. and Mrs. Bucket came in and stood at the foot of the bed, watching Charlie. The room became silent. Everybody was waiting now for Charlie to start opening his present. Charlie looked down at the candy bar. He ran his fingers slowly back and forth along the length of it, stroking it lovingly. And the shiny paper wrapper made little sharp crackly noises in the quiet room. Then Mrs. Bucket said gently, "You mustn't be too disappointed, my darling, if you don't find what you're looking for underneath the wrapper. You really can't expect to be as lucky as all that." "She's quite right," Mr. Bucket said. Charlie didn't say anything. "After all," Grandma Josephine said, "in the whole wide world there are only 3 tickets left to be found." "The thing to remember," Grandma Georgina said, "is that whatever happens, you still have the bar of candy." "Wonka's Whipple Scrumptious Fudge Mallow Delight," said Grandpa George. "It's the best of them all. You'll just love it." "Yes," Charlie whispered, "I know." "Just forget all about those golden tickets and enjoy the candy," Grandpa Joe said. "Why don't you do that?" They all knew it was ridiculous to expect this one poor little candy bar to have a magic ticket inside it, and they were trying as gently and as kindly as they could to prepare Charlie for the disappointments. But there was one other thing that the grown-ups also knew, and it was this, that however small the chance might be of striking lucky, the chance was there. And the chance had to be there. This particular candy bar had as much chance as any of having a golden ticket. And that was why all the grandparents and parents in the room were actually just as tense and excited as Charlie was, although they were pretending to be very calm. "You'd better go ahead and open it up, or you'll be late for school," Grandpa Joe said. "You might as well get it over with," Grandpa George said. "Open it, my dear," Grandma Georgina said. "Please open it. You're making me jumpy." Very slowly, Charlie's fingers began to tear open the small corner of the wrapping paper. The old people in the bed all leaned forward, craning their scraggy necks. Then suddenly, as though he couldn't bear the suspense any longer, Charlie tore the wrapper right down the middle, and on his lap there fell a light brown, cream-colored chocolate candy bar. There was no sign of a golden ticket anywhere. "Well, that's that," said Grandpa Joe brightly. "It's just as we expected." Charlie looked up. 4 kind old faces were watching him intently from the bed. He smiled at them. A small, sad smile, and then he shrugged his shoulders and picked up the candy bar and held it out to his mother and said, "Here, Mother, have a bit. We'll share it. I want everybody to taste it." "Certainly not," said his mother. And all the others cried, "No, no, we wouldn't dream of it. It's all yours." "Please," begged Charlie, turning round and offering it to Grandpa Joe. But neither he nor anyone else would take even a tiny bite. "It's time to go to school, my darling," Mrs. Bucket said, putting an arm around Charlie's skinny shoulders. "Come on, or you'll be late." All right, we will talk more about this later, but very quickly. So what happened? Charlie opened his birthday present, one single candy bar, and it was just chocolate. No golden ticket. Okay, we're going to read chapter 8. So we're going to press right on. 2 more golden tickets found. That evening, Mr. Bucket's newspaper announced the finding of not only the 3rd golden ticket, but the 4th as well. "2 golden tickets found today," screamed the headline. "Only 1 more left." "All right," said Grandpa Joe, when the whole family was gathered in the old people's room after supper. "Let's hear who found them." "The 3rd ticket," read Mr. Bucket, holding the newspaper up close to his face, because his eyes were bad and he couldn't afford glasses. "The 3rd ticket was found by a Miss Violet Beauregard. There was great excitement in the Beauregard household when our reporter arrived to interview the lucky young lady. Cameras were clicking and flashbulbs were flashing and people were pushing and jostling and trying to get a bit closer to the famous girl. And the famous girl was standing on a chair in the living room, waving the golden ticket madly at an arm's length as though she were flagging a taxi. She was talking very fast and loudly to everyone, but it was not easy to hear all that she had to say because she was chewing so ferociously upon a piece of gum at the same time. "I'm a gum chewer normally," she shouted, "but when I heard about these ticket things of Mr. Wonka's, I laid off the gum and switched to candy bars in hope of striking lucky. Now, of course, I'm back on the gum. I just adore gum. I can't do without it. I munch it all day long except for a few minutes at meal times when I take it out and stick it behind my ear for safekeeping. To tell you the honest truth, I simply wouldn't feel comfortable if I didn't have that little wedge of gum to chew on every moment of the day. I really wouldn't. My mother says it's not ladylike, and it looks ugly to see a girl's jaw going up and down like mine do all the time. But I don't agree. And who's she to criticize anyway? Because if you ask me, I'd say that her jaws are going up and down almost as much as mine are, just from yelling at me every day." "Now, Violet," Miss Beauregard said from the far corner of the room, where she was standing on the piano to avoid being trampled by the mob. "All right, Mother, keep your hair on," Miss Beauregard shouted. "And now," she went on, turning to the reporters again, "it may interest you to know that this piece of gum I'm chewing right at this moment is one I've been working on for over 3 months solid. That's a record, that is. It's beaten the record held by my best friend, Miss Cornelia Princemetal, and Was she mad? It's my most treasured possession now, this piece of gum is. At nights, I just stick it on the end of the bedpost, and it's as good as ever in the morning. A bit hard at first, maybe, but it soon softens up after I've given it a few good chews. Before I started chewing for the world record, I used to change my piece of gum once a day. I used to do it in our elevator on the way home from school. Why the elevator? Because I liked sticking the gooey piece that I'd finished on one of the elevator buttons. Then, the next person who came along and pressed the button got my old gum on their end of their finger. What a racket they kicked up, some of them. Oh, you get the best results with women who have expensive gloves on. Oh, yes, I'm thrilled to be going to Mr. Wonka's factory. And I understand afterwards he is going to give me enough gum to last me for the rest of my whole life. Whoopee! Hooray! Beastly girl, said Grandma Josephine. Despicable, said Grandma Georgina. She'll come to the sticky end one day, chewing all that gum. You see if she doesn't. And who got the fourth golden ticket, Daddy? Charlie asked. Now let me see, said Mr. Bucket, peering at the newspaper again. Ah, yes, here we are. The fourth golden ticket, he read, was found by a boy called Mike TV. Ugh, another bad lot, I'll be bound, muttered Grandma Josephine. Don't interrupt, Grandma, said Mrs. Bucket. The TV household, said Mr. Bucket, going on with his reading, was crammed like all the others with excited visitors when our reporter arrived. But young Mike TV, the lucky winner, seemed extremely annoyed by the whole business. Can't you fools see I'm watching television? He said angrily. I wish you wouldn't interrupt. The 9-year-old boy was seated before an enormous television set, with his eyes glued to the screen. He was watching a film in which one bunch of gangsters was shooting up another bunch of gangsters with machine guns. Mike TV himself had no less than 18 toy pistols of various sizes hanging from belts around his body, and every now and again he would leap up into the air and fire off half a dozen rounds from one or another of these weapons. Quiet! He shouted when somebody tried to ask him a question. Didn't I tell you not to interrupt? This show's an absolute whiz-banger. I watch it every day. I watch all of them every day, even the crummy ones where there's no shooting. I like the gangsters best. They're terrific, those gangsters, especially when they start pumping each other full of lead, bang, bang, and flashing old stilettos, or giving each other the old 1, 2, 3 with their knuckle dusters. Oh, boy, what I wouldn't give to be doing that myself. It's the life. I tell you, it's terrific. That's quite enough, snapped Grandma Josephine. I can't bear to listen to it. Nor me, said Grandma Georgina. Do all children behave like this nowadays? Like these brats we've been hearing about? Of course not, said Mr. Bucket, smiling at the old lady in the bed. Some do, of course. In fact, quite a lot of them do. But not all. And now there's only one ticket left, said Grandpa George. Quite so, sniffed Grandma Georgina. And just as sure as I'll be having cabbage soup for supper tomorrow, that ticket'll go to some nasty little beast who doesn't deserve it. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump on over here. So let's go back up here. So it's Charlie's birthday. He's going to get his chocolate bar. Okay, and they hope he's not disappointed. Right? They hope he is not disappointed. Now, Charlie is a sweet kid. Okay, but it says they were trying to prepare him to not be disappointed. Sweetie, it's just going to be a chocolate bar. Please don't be sad if there's no golden ticket. It's still a good candy bar. You can still enjoy it. Don't be disappointed. Right? That's disappointing. But they're all looking at him intently, right? Here's little Charlie, and everyone's like, "What'd you get? What's there? What's there? What's there?" So, like, everyone's pretty excited. I think everyone wants him to have a golden ticket. And he opens it up, and no golden ticket for Charlie. Instead, in Chapter 8, 2 more tickets are found. One is by Violet Beauregard. Violet. It's a blue-purple color. Okay, so that's her name, Violet. But it also, is kind of the color as well. So we got Violet Beauregard, and she likes to chew gum, right? And what's interesting is that Violet says her mom likes to yell at her and criticize her. But all we hear from her mom is, "Now, Violet." And then Violet goes, "All right, Mother, keep your hair on. Be quiet. No one wants to listen to you." Do you like Violet? She's chewing that gum all the time. Rude to her mother. And then, did you catch this detail? She takes her gum out of her mouth and sticks it on the buttons of the elevator so that when some other person comes on, goes, "Third floor." Ew. Someone else's gum. That's so gross. So gross. She's kind of a jerk. I don't like Violet. And then we have Mike TV. Right? He's only concerned with watching TV. Here, this guy's playing video games, but it's pretty similar. He tells everyone, "Don't interrupt me. I'm watching TV. I watch TV all the time." He says the word whiz-banger. Now, that's just a fun, silly, made-up word. This is a whiz-banger. It just means exciting, fun, wild. So, we got Augustus Gloop, who is fat and eats. We've got Veruca Salt, who is spoiled. Violet Beauregard, who chews gum and is mean and annoying. And Mike TV, who has an unhealthy obsession with television. Who's going to win that 5th golden ticket? So exciting. Okay, all of these kids are brats, as the grandparents keep saying. Little kids who cause trouble. They scream, they act special, they stick their tongues out at you. Bratty little kids. All right. So final summary. 2 more golden tickets have been found. One kid is named Violet, and she's gross and rude. Mike TV found the 2nd ticket. He loves TV and doesn't want to be interrupted while watching television. So that's the story so far. Thanks for your attention. We'll catch you later.